Hey everyone, it's Synth Designer back again with another video. Today I am going to be showing you some more sounds from my upcoming preset pack called Atmos Synths, and we're going to be focusing more on kind of like string-like atmospheric sounds. Obviously these aren't exact strings, and you could create your own strings now very easily in Serum 2, and there's lots of presets for it and different wavetables that you could use, different samples, but I really wanted to be a little bit more experimental, and this preset pack has that kind of experimental quality to it. It's not just for different music genres, but it does try to look at the spectrum of different sounds and different genres such as movies and soundtracks and all that kind of stuff. So I'm hoping to show you some cool sounds that you can make and use from this pack. Of course, as always, this pack will be available for free at synthdesigner.com. Please be on the lookout over the next coming weeks about upcoming dates for when it will be released. There's no strings attached, no pun intended there. This will be absolutely free with no signups required. So let's get right into how to create these sounds. There's going to be a lot of similarities throughout these, but I really want to just focus on their individual unique qualities. So this first one, which was that last sample you heard, is called Stringy Noises. So this one has a lot of depth to it. It's more focused kind of on that lower mid sound, and it does have kind of a muddiness to it, and that's okay. I mean, we're trying to create unique textures here. It doesn't all have to be the same. So in this case, I have a couple saws here that create that sound. One that is just that basic saw, and then the rounded saw here. You can see they're not moving at all. They're static. There's a bunch of voices of unison, which gives them that width. And then I have some noise as well. Very subtle. And starts off louder. You can see that LFO here. LFO number 2 here, just on this saw rounded here, giving it that sound. Just that slight detuning, and then LFO 3 is on the level of oscillator A. It gives it that kind of tremolo effect, which is slightly different than vibrato. Vibrato is about pitch, whereas tremolo is about the level. So on their own, this is really what's giving it that kind of middle kind of. You could hear the difference. This is much more on that upper end, and this is much more on that lower end, or lower middle. The envelope here is shaping that sound. Like any strings, we want a little bit of attack to give us that kind of string-like sound and not just a basic kind of attack to it, that transient. The effects here, I took out a lot of this lower range. It's already very kind of heavy kind of sounding, and we don't need all that sub-layer either. The hyper here, giving us a little bit more of that size here. So actually this is the dimension, the hyper is off. And then the reverb giving us tons of mix here. Totally different sound without the reverb. Cut more of the lows if we really wanted to. Up to you on how you feel like what kind of sound you need there. The next sound we have here is called String Section, so another pad. Let's listen to it again. A nice, very soft and subtle sound. A little bit different this time. Again, we're relying on these saws because saws really do help create that kind of stringy sound. A saw with a filter specifically. A saw on its own will be very harsh. That filter helps us get kind of that nice, subtle string sound. In this case, we have the M saw and then the Matrixy C64. This is not quite a saw, but as you can see, it has some saw qualities. This one has a lot more movement to it. Just basically a lot of unison as always, but I've automated things here heavily. LFO 3, changing the wavetable position at a very fast rate. Let's listen to it on its own. You could hear that subtle movement there, but it's really important. Then oscillator A on its own. Very smooth sound. Just some subtle movement in the fine knob here. And then adding that noise back in. Very, very slow movement upwards for this LFO on the wavetable position. Remember, you don't have to have just one LFO changing the parameter. You can have multiple LFOs changing things at different rates. In this case, it's 16 bars. Of course, you're not going to hold one note for 16 bars in this case, as the sound is not really made for that. It does decay, but this allows it to subtly change over time. Really creates a beautiful kind of string-like sound to it with pretty simple wavetables and manipulation here with some LFOs. Just looking at the effects, actually quickly, the envelope here, as you could see, very slow rise and then very slow decay. The effects, again, the hyper here giving us a little bit more width to it, a little bit of chorus, and then this time we have some delay and reverb. And again, taking out a lot of those sub frequencies that we just don't need. Again, you can cut out more if you want from the reverb. But yeah, pretty simple sound again, but has its own distinct character. Then the last sound is this Orby Strings. It's really not like the other two. It's not quite a string sound, not quite an organ sound. I just found it really interesting. It's got kind of a darker sound to it almost. A lot of depth to it and helped by this sub, as you can see. Very simple wave shapes. This Juno and this saw here. For anyone who's familiar with Serum, these are very basic kind of sounds or wave shapes. This sub though, really adding a nice thick quality to it with this saw here being 1 octave down. A lot of different movement here. Because we have simpler wave shapes, I wanted to make it ever evolving and giving it a lot more movement. Let's start with LFO 1 here. Just a little bit of change to the level of the noise. Again, the noise is very subtle. LFO 2, shaping this one especially, the second oscillator. I have the bend plus on here on the warp menu. 。 Then I've played around with the envelopes. Again, envelope 1 in particular has that slower attack. Envelope 2 here is really not as important because I had the other LFO opening up this level. Then envelope 3 here is just changing the cutoff subtly. We want opening up just a little bit, but not too much. Just that great depth you usually don't get in a string sound. This reminds me more of like having kind of that cello in a string section, not just violins or something like that. So it's a nice depth to it there. Similarly, we got some chorus and some hyper here, a lot more chorus. You can hear it really does make quite a bit of a difference. And then some equalization, giving that top end a little bit more, and then some reverb and delay. So hopefully you enjoyed these sounds and you'll enjoy this new preset pack. Again, this will be absolutely free at synthdesigner.com when it's out. Please look for it in the near future. Let me know what you think of these sounds down in the comments. What kind of sounds would you like to see in future preset packs? And just any other comments you may have about the channel. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you all next time.